what's this? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome to The Morning After. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Poodles.
Hi, Poodles. Welcome. Thanks for watching. My name's Alex. I'm your host here, calling in from New York City. Everyone, go around, tell us who you are, where you're calling in from, and what you're planning to be for Halloween this year. Coming to us straight from the pajama party pose, Russ White. I love that, by the way. But go ahead.
Co-publisher of Q Life Media, and I'm calling in from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I will be a ghost for Halloween because you won't see me anywhere this year.
No, you're just ghosting. He's ghosting all of Halloween. Better things to do. Michael, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michael Barbieri. I'm the dining and entertainment writer for Q Life Media, and I'm calling in from New York. And my husband and I are thinking of getting done up in red cloaks with white bonnets and walking around going, under his eye, under his eye. May the Lord
a friend of mine is doing that with his husband. I was like, that's perfect. That's
The Handmaid's Tale, yeah.
Robin.
It's Robin Dorner from Oklahoma City. I'm the editor of The Gaily and Gaily.com. And, oh snap, I'm going to be... I still fit in my high school cheerleading outfit.
Oh, me too.
And I'm going to be a high school cheerleader.
Get it. Can you get extensions and have pigtails, please?
Normally I put this big white bow in my hair.
Okay.
It looks terrible. It looks so 80s. And I graduated in 81, so.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome. Garrett Patiani.
Robin, you always remind me of Betty Boop. I think that one of yours.
You don't know how many people say that. It's so crazy.
That'd be a good second costume for you this year. Maybe
True.
My name is Garrett, and I'm calling in from Las Vegas, co-publisher of Q Live Media. Go check out our new format. Really excited about it. And this year for Halloween, I'm going to buy a wig that's very versatile. Could be Sia. Could be Lady Gaga.
Cruella DeVille. Yeah.
I hate you.
Well, you should actually buy that wig and then just switch costumes throughout the night and just like, it's up, it's down, we don't know who you are.
Wait, a wig that's versatile, does that mean that the wig tops and bottoms?
It does. It's a versatile wig. Sometimes it middles. You don't know. So Christopher, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Christopher Henry, and this is Riley.
Hi, Riley.
And I'm an actor and singer from New York City, and pajama pose. I don't know what I'm going to be for Halloween yet because I got surprised by one of my best friends to go on a cruise starting next Friday for a week. He booked it with his boyfriend and they broke up. So sad them, yay me. So free cruise going from Long Beach, California to Catalina Islands to Ensenada, Mexico. I mean, it's going to be hot in the boat, so I might go with an oldie and a goodie and go as my favorite gay superhero, Robin, from Batman and Robin. And I think that's it. I'm just planning on having a good time and keeping my friend from drunkenly jumping over the ship. So there we go.
Is it a gay cruise or is it just a regular cruise?
It's going to be because I'm on it. So there's going to be Latin men in me, so it's going to get pretty gay.
I've done that cruise. It's a lot of fun. It is fun.
I'm so excited.
Consider Aquaman because you're on a cruise. I'm just saying.
I don't have the hair long enough to pull that off, or like the butchness of that guy playing him now. But
He's so butch.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be Gay Archer from the Honey Pot episode. I'm the only gay man I know who watches Archer, so anyone else, chime in. Oh, wait, Russ, yay. Remember when he did the Honey Pot and he had the Got Dick shirt? I might do that. So, anyway.
I think
We had a great episode this week with Will and Grace. We connected with some old peeps, some young peeps who are now older peeps, I would say, with Elliot. With the cold open, we had some fun jokes. I thought the open the flue and put a log in their joke was a little on the nose. Okay. But with the pajama party position, since we were all in that, well, Russ, I'm sort of in it. I'm like more stretched out on my bed, but all right, I curled up my feet.
You're in the lingerie party position.
I'll say rephrase that, Alex.
You're in the pajama-less party position.
You don't know what I'm wearing on my bottoms? All you can see is my tops, and that's all.
Every time you say pajama party pose, I'm going to jump into it.
I think we all should. Okay, pajama party pose, and go.
Yeah.
Damn.
I've done this a lot.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, so we had that joke, and then we had the Edward Sissy Hands joke. And my question here is, we're living in a time where everyone's kind of being a little bit more like politically correct in a way. I kind of like that they're making these jokes. Like if the pajama party position, if any position had a list, like that party would, or that position would. I find them funny, and I find them like a little like, but I'm wondering if people who aren't used to like, maybe millennials who are a little more like, you have to be all accepting of everyone and not make fun of everything, or make fun of anything. If that would strike them in a way of being like, oh, you're being harmful. Robin, you're shaking your head. Go ahead.
Well, here's what I think is Jack and Will go way back. They're very close friends. And don't you kid around with your close friends like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think people will go, oh, I call her a bitch too. So, you know what I mean? So
I hope so too. I agree with you, and I hope so too. But I feel like there's a hypersensitivity right now where anything that even sounds like they're making fun of somebody, that is like, oh, you can't do that, and we have to be
No, you're
sensitive.
right.
And it's like, yes, there is a level of sensitivity, but I think comedy is the way to like poke fun at everything, or just kind of like lighten up everything in a way to make like, okay, yeah, we have to take something seriously. Like even when we got to the paper towel joke, I was like, okay, so we're touching on Trump again, but we're also doing like, oh, but every time she does that, I make her pay $1,000 to hurricane relief, and I was like, so that was a good way of doing it in a way.
I think you're right. I think,
Christopher, what do you think of that?
well, I do think you're right. I do think that we're in a far more politically correct climate than we ever used to be. And I think comedy's taken a hit on that. Like I constantly tell my friends that shows like All in the Family and Maude would probably never get made today because of just nature.
Well, Chris, like that was when they started making South Park, Trey and Matt, they wanted to do an Archie Bunker character, but they're like, the only way we can do it is animation. And that was even 20 years ago. So
I think as far as those jokes go, I think we're used to those jokes from Will and Grace. I mean, they were unique jokes for the late 90s when it came about, when we had Edward Sissy Hand jokes and everything. And nobody was making gay jokes on network TV like that. So the part of me, the sentimental side of me, is glad they kept that in. Although, like you, when they made that joke, I went, wah, wah. But the pajama party.
The wah wah one was the flew and put a log in, because I was like, that's kind of. But the other ones, I was like, that's fine.
But within this episode, I think people won't be offended as much because those jokes were paired up in an episode that very much centered around accepting who you are, and more so on a character like Jack, which we don't get to see have a tender, earnest, vulnerable moment like we did last night. So I think if anybody were to take offense to those kind of on-the-nose gay jokes, it was balanced out by the content of the rest of the episode.
I laughed out loud so many times in this episode. Just out loud funny, going, oh my God, that was hysterical writing.
Yeah,
True.
And hysterical delivery, too. It's the way the delivery.
Garrett, what were you saying?
Go ahead.
I think that when the jokes are made, it gives the option for people that sometimes have jokes thrown at them how to fight back with your words, right? So like if somebody came at me, I would now learn that gay culture, you can like somehow make a joke out of it and throw it back at them. So I remember when I was young, I would watch Will and Grace, and I didn't know how to defend myself, and I wasn't a fighter physically. So when somebody would say something to me, I learned a lot of the way to be witty from the show, to come back with something like, okay, yeah, or like somebody would say, you're gay, and be like, oh yeah, you want it? You know, like just a way to play back. And that wound up winning over so many people just because you gave it back to them the way that they gave it to you, and you made friends out of it in a weird way.
Yeah, it's all about human interaction. And what were you saying, Robin?
Well, and I think too that if, like with what Garrett was talking about, if people feel like they can intimidate you and make you feel less than, they think they've won. Mm-hmm. But with Garrett coming back with, oh yeah, you want this, what are they going to say? No, I don't want it, you know. It's really like throwing it back at him. And that's fantastic that you actually learned that pop culture from a TV show.
Yeah.
I'm from Boston. I'll just cut a bitch. I don't care, but I mean.
Okay, and also now we get a little more generativity. We have Jack's grandson showing up, who I thought I didn't catch the actor's name, but I think he did a really good job, the child actor there. But my favorite part was when Karen walked in and did her little loop to pick up the Birkin. It harkened back to an episode where Jack was followed Karen to her school because one of her kids like either got in trouble, ended up getting on the honor roll, but anyway. And he meets this little gay kid in the hall who was putting together his own cabaret show called Just John. And Karen walks out, and the kid starts staring at her, and she goes, "What are you looking at, shorty?" And he's like, "Your shoes." And she's like, "They're good, right?" I kind of wish we had that moment instead of the like, "Stop staring," or "Close your mouth, get a fly into it." I kind of wish it was like, "What are you staring at? Your bag." "It's good, right?" I was hoping for that, and it didn't happen. And, Michael, what are you saying?
Well, you know what it brought me back to was the episode where Will and Jack take that sort of undeveloped gay kid under their wings, and at first he's kind of scruffy and bearded, and then he shaves, and they start seeing him as potentially better, in the gay world. And then at one point he says "fabulous," and they go, "Oh, baby's first fabulous."
Like that was Karen's cousin.
Okay, yeah. But that's what that reminded me of when Jack's grandson
did that. Bam.
Jumped into the party pose, and then they were like, and then when he said that Karen was fabulous, it's like, "Oh, baby's first fabulous."
Fabulous. And the Jesse Tyler Ferguson reference.
Yes.
That was great. That was good.
So, and okay, so then we get a little further on. So that storyline is happening. We see Elliot again, who he has not grown an inch. I was like, oh, look at you.
There's nothing wrong with that, Alex.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I was like, I kind of expected him to like be taller than Jack at the moment. But I was like, he came in and I was like, oh, all right, there you are. Look at you.
I see how it is.
I thought he was good looking personally. But, Garrett, you're nodding along with me. What do you say?
And go ahead.
Yeah, he looks like he stepped right out of Brokeback Mountain. He's good. Yeah, all about it. Yeah.
I love
Garrett.
I love the references to Texas and how conservative they are. When he said, "Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid, and now I can't separate church and state." That was awesome. And then who else said another thing that was anti-Texas-ish? I can't remember, but
was it the reference to the naked man art being like, "Oh, that's arty" or something? Was it that?
Oh, the lady. No. What? I believe it was Will said something about Texas, but yeah, that was this morning when I watched that. So
I mean, unless you're in Austin, he's kind of right. So
no, that's it. Yeah.
That's all. Okay, and then we get to the main storyline of Camp Straight and Narrow. Did anyone ever on our panel, has anyone ever dealt with any sort of like realignment situation or Pray Away the Gay? Chris, Garrett, I know friends who have gone through it or were told to go through it, and
No, I was lucky that even though my parents are somewhat religious people, they're very socially liberal in a lot of ways, but they're Irish Catholic, so they go to church. But they've never had a problem with gay people or with me. They had questions, but they evolved certainly, but they were always pretty accepting. I mean, when I was 3, there's a video of me copying the Golden Girls theme song of Rue McClanahan, so they had a clue. But I do have relatives who are far more religious who did try to put some of their children in ex-gay camp, and I know that was a point of contention for the family. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, for me, I can never. My mother said to me, I can't understand when that's your child. Like, no matter what you believe in, like that's your child, and you would do something that for me is particularly very hateful.
Well, that's the thing is like I was surprised that like these, I don't know how many of these camps still exist, but there's still parents these days who will turn out their child and refuse to either kick them out of the home or refuse to support them if they become gay. So it is still a thing. Even though our world has become much more accepting, it's still a thing that can happen. What were you saying there, Robin?
There's a big one here in Oklahoma, and there's a huge one in Texas that they recruit people from Oklahoma to go into.
Wow.
One of my friends worked at Corporate Hobby Lobby here in Oklahoma City, and when he reached up
That's super gay, by the way.
yeah, right. And when he reached to upper management, now he was married to a woman, they had a couple kids. They forced him, or he would lose his job, to go to conversion therapy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have a story. When I was 18, I was dating somebody who was raised Mormon, and
they're big on that
camp that they went to, but I remember him, like, all of a sudden, it was like before cell phones and stuff. So, well, before I had one. And I just remember he like kind of disappeared, and I couldn't get in touch with him. It was like really difficult. And he claims that at nighttime, right around midnight, they brought him to somewhere in Vegas, tried to rip him out of the car to go to this like shock therapy thing under the ground. And as soon as I heard from him again, he told me that. I called his mom and I was like, get him out of here. Like, you need to save him from his dad. So I know that they exist, but it's something that when I told my other Mormon friends, I was like, they took him to this place. They were like, that doesn't exist. That's not real. I was like, it's real. It's there.
It's very real. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So that's the part that they kind of, it's not as necessarily a camp, but that stuff they believe works. So
I know. Well, they addressed like the shock therapy business with the shock collar, which by the way, Andrew and Jane, can we just like give it up for them?
Yes.
I love seeing them on the show. Andrew and I I saw him in Fire Island, and he's like one of the sweetest guys in the world. Jane Lynch, haven't met her yet, but I'm hoping to have her in my bed soon, just as a cuddle buddy. Wouldn't she be the best cuddle buddy? She could be my big spoon. Be my big spoon. It'd be great. No, I thought it was great. It also like reminded me, I don't know, has anyone seen Addams Family Values?
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like those two camp counselors, like with Christine Baranski in there. But I thought their performances were great. But they kind of referenced that with the shock collar thing. Luckily they handled it in a comedic way where it wasn't like super tragic. And Will got in there and got to make out with Andrew too, and I was like, yeah.
How great was that? This is our second Will kiss, by the way, this season. Like, that's more kisses this season than the entire original run of the show.
Right? He had like the pecs with Bobby, and then like one with the like young video store guy, but I can't remember any others.
Yeah, it was just Tay Diggs and Vince. That's it.
Robin, what were you saying?
Yeah, that's what I was saying about that. That first kiss they did was a long kiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice.
It was good.
Oh, Alex.
What? I'm a dancer occasionally.
Helium heels.
Okay, but let's talk about the B storyline with Karen and Grace, and with her hoo-ha and all that.
The snooch.
The snooch. I really liked the moment where she held the mirror up to it. And also, did anyone else catch that she was wearing a skirt of pussies?
Yes.
Oh.
I did not.
They were like lions or pumas or something, like just going like this. And I was like, you're wearing a skirt of pussy. Good job, costume designer. I was like, that is amazing. So okay, but now we're seeing this guy again who we saw in the first episode, who was kind of like a throwaway little scene, and I'm like, okay, he's back. Is he gonna be Grace's love interest? What do we think? He's a younger man, older woman. It could happen. Garrett, what do you think?
I'm all about that Latin man touching her and making her sing. Oh.
I loved hearing her sing because remember when she was on Smash and she would occasionally have to like help someone start singing? All I heard was Grace singing, like just exploding into song at the most inappropriate time. Russ, what did you think? Do you think we're gonna have a cougar situation with Grace? Also, you're muted right now, just so you know.
Ooh, I don't know. That would be an interesting storyline to take.
I mean, she had her first marriage. Maybe she wants to have a little fun now. Like, I wouldn't be mad at her. Would not be mad.
Him or a recurring, or a new character every week.
Well, I'm hoping that for Will. Actually, what I was kind of hoping at like the out of this episode would have been Andrew leaving Will's room. Andrew Reynolds leaving Will's room, as like that would have been fun. I would have liked that. Michael, what do you think?
Well, he reads really gay to me. I was very surprised to see this sexual interaction I mean, I think Grace was maybe reading too much into it because he strikes me as very gay.
Well, also, notoriously in
Grace is tight, though.
Grace is attracted to gay men, so that
Yeah, well,
they could work that angle as well. You know,
Yeah.
it could be like she takes him on a candlelit dinner, and it's like, oh, and is it okay if my boyfriend joins us? Like that could be a funny little punchline. I could see that happening.
I don't know. I think that I think that Grace does need a younger man for a while because I think she needs somebody who's so eager and willing to please that he'll like put up with her crazy. So I do think he needs that right now. But he just, I mean, I do think he's handsome. I think he's and I do love my Latin men. But I don't know. He almost strikes me as too boyish to me. And I mean, I just like I don't know. This B storyline also had me feeling a bit weird. It felt very unfinished. And I think that's maybe because the other one was so much more important that this one was kind of eclipsed by it. Like it just, when she walked out of the office, it was done. I was like, oh,
it was the comic relief in a way to like a kind of a serious subject, I would say. But getting back to that, so then Jack has his come to Jesus with his grandson, which is very nice. And also there was like kind of a RuPaul connection there where RuPaul says, if you didn't know, we do the morning after for RuPaul's Drag Race. So when he says there's the family you're born into and then there's the family you choose, RuPaul has said that many times. She's like, as gay people or queer people, we get to choose our family and that's a luxury. So I thought that was very nice to put it to, and I was like, oh, Grandpa Jack. Michael, what were you saying?
and well, speaking of RuPaul was in a film called "But I'm a Cheerleader," which the camp scene reminded me a lot of that as well, with two counselors who were clearly gay, and you know who are supposedly converted themselves, but clearly they haven't gotten over their urges. And so RuPaul came to mind with that as well.
Oh, the gardener in that, I forget his name. He's married to that country singer now. But anyway, he was gorgeous. And RuPaul was in it. Natasha Lyonne was in it.
Yep.
And the guy who played Rufio from Hook was in it. And he was making out with boys, which made my heart go pitter patter because I kind of had a crush on Rufio from Hook. And then I saw him making out with boys, and I was like,
but I mean, right down to the pink and blue T-shirts, it very much reminded me of that.
Yeah, I wonder if there was like, you know, some sort of person who was involved with both, maybe, or well, I mean, it's a natural to do a pink and blue motif for that. But who I did notice in the credits, it said consulting producer Laura Keitlinger.
Yeah.
Who plays Sheila? I was like, she's a consulting producer on the show now. I was like, yay, Sheila. That's why we have
And if I'm correct, I think that back in the original series, I think she used to do the audience warm-ups.
Oh, did she?
I think so.
Well, that's awesome. I think she's great.
This is
really funny.
Russ, what were you saying?
This is the first time I remember seeing and that it opened the show with a Will and Grace's film before a live studio audience.
Yeah.
Has that been the case, or did they just start adding that back in?
I'm not sure. I might have to go back and watch the previous 3 to see if that's a thing.
I kind of noticed that too, and it seemed like, was that there before?
I don't remember it being there before,
Yeah.
and it's something that is kind of a throwback to the 80s sitcoms.
Yeah, it's like it reminded me of the Cosby Show.
Even the 70s.
Yeah, the Cosby Show was taped before a live studio audience. Like that's how you would start it. Yeah, so that was kind of fun though.
I was on
Hey,
the
Garrett, what were you saying?
treadmill. I was working out while I was watching the episode, and when it got to that moment where Jack grabs the little kid's face and he was like, "It's gonna be tough, but I want you to remember my face right here, right now," and I like started crying on the treadmill. So it's like really touching. I hope that kids watch this episode, and if they're going through that they try to remember that face during the moments when you feel like the world is against you, because it's really touching. Like to have somebody grab you like that and be like, you need to hear me. You need to remember my face. Remember it every time you feel this way. Like you're loved and you're perfect just the way you are. So I hope that there's kids out there that see this episode. It was really good.
And what an important moment to Jack. What an important moment to have the character of Jack do that, because we rarely ever have him having a moment where he's
Human.
that serious and that earnest without then 5 seconds later and a punchline. Like, and I was almost waiting for it. I was like, he was going to do that and then no joke. And I thought that was perfect for him, for him to have that moment. And Sean Hayes did it beautifully, as he usually does.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now where because as we've touched on, even now there are kids who don't have that person in their life. So it's good to hear it on on NBC, the National Broadcasting. It's good to see it, and hopefully that people can search, or kids who might not have someone to talk to can seek out someone to talk to. There's there's a lot of sources on the internet if you can find it. There's usually a PFLAG or an LGBT group in your city that you can go to. If not, you can reach out on the internet. And I'm glad they did that too, to be like, yes, it sucks. It's gonna suck, but it'll get better. So.
And it's also important for us to reach out to kids who we think might be struggling, because the problem is a lot of kids don't always come to terms with who they are, or in an environment like this kid was, where they don't feel not only safe to talk about it, but safe to even identify with the possibility. And sometimes they need either a role model or just a person to just take them by the hand and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Sometimes they need somebody to help them take that first step. I needed that when I was coming out. I think it's very vital. What's that?
When you were coming out of the womb?
Yeah,
yes.
Right when I was coming out of the womb and I exploded with gay glitter, the doctor took me by the hand and said, homo! And that was it. Yeah.
Not me, I'm a platinum star gay. So.
The doctor smacked him and he went,
yeah!
Arms down, arms down.
The doctor smacked him and he said, harder.
Have you been watching, Alex? Stop that.
I have. Anyway. I'm glad we got that. So we've gotten kind of touching moments out of everyone except for Will at this point. I know he had that talk with Ben Platt, but that was more teachery mode, mean mommy. And I kind of want something to happen a little more heartfelt for him. Yeah, I don't know. What do we think? Are we gonna get that this season?
Yeah, but I think we've gotten it from Will a lot. I mean, when his dad died, Will's kind of sad.
That's the previous season. I want something more from him.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying is we get it a lot from him. I'm sure we'll get more. I mean, it's Jack and Karen we don't get it a lot from, because they're usually the comic relief. So it's refreshing.
But Karen's already had one, so
yeah.
I'm sure they'll do. I feel sure they'll do more than one, maybe, with Will.
Yeah, especially when Bobby comes back, they'll probably have something like that. Bobby's so hot. Get him back. Get him shirtless and get him back.
Get him now.
All right. Well, I had a good time this week watching this episode. It was good to see some old cast members. Yeah, and
I think we missed one part when they said Elliot said, "Would you like to take your grandson to his first Broadway show?"
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
and I think I know the perfect show to take him to see, Wicked.
I would say Dear Evan Hansen with what he's going through, but
An off-Broadway show. Take him to see Naked Boys Singing, Saturdays, 6 p.m. at the Kirk Theater. Tickets now.
plug.
Nice plug.
I like with this new show, they're also getting into a lot of the sort of gay terminology, like twinks and twunks, and the bear that clogged my drain.
Is twunk a thing? Do we have to make twunk a thing? I don't know if I want twunk to be a thing.
The funny thing is the first time I heard twunk was on a straight show called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They actually break down the different echelons of twink, twunk, twank, bear, otter, and it's all explaining it, and I was like, this is kind of brilliant. They must either have a very savvy writer or a gay writer on their show.
Yeah. And when they were talking about someone's puffed up basket, I mean, there was all this gay terminology.
Andrew's eyes were just boom. I was
Andrew's so perfect.
He was great in that role. But yeah, that was a good episode. I can't wait for next week. Do we know anything about next week? I didn't see any previews. Oh, are you allowed to say, Russ? No, I'm just saying. Okay. Well, he'll tell us off air, and you guys will all have to see next week. So that's what it is. But thanks for watching The Morning After. Thanks for watching Will and Grace. We love you, Will, Grace, Karen, and Jack. And until next week, tune in. Tune in every week while we do The Morning After. And until then, bye, kids. Bye, poodles.
Bye, poodles. Party pose.
Pajama party.